Coming up here on the Raiders Report, are the Silver and Black going to be adding a running back? According to a beat reporter for the Las Vegas Raiders, they could add one right before training camp. And then, since that's the report, I'm going to be breaking down my top 5 running back targets for Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco to sign before training camp. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and today's show is presented by Panda Supps. If anybody wants my summer shred pack, all you got to do is go to chatsports.com/mystack. You're going to be able to get the protein that I use, my fat burner that I use, the BCAAs that I use after a workout, and bottom line is, if you're already taking that initiative to go to the gym and try to be a healthier you might as well get the most bang for your buck. So use code MyStack for 35% off at chatsports.com/mystack. Usually, it's about a $200 value. You're going to get a few extra little odds and ends in there. You can get it right now for about $103. All you got to do, go to that link, use that code, which is available to you in the description and in the comments of today's show. All right, so before we get into the full breakdown, if you will, around the running backs, what Tafur ended up reporting, I was unable to go live on the 4th of July, and I can't do this show if it wasn't for this great man right here. So I know I ask you guys to do a lot of things, right? Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. I don't care what you do on today's show, but every single one of y'all better spam Al. You better say HBD, because to me, this is what commitment to excellence looks like. This is what we've been chasing for a very, very long time. And Al did so many great things for the Raiders. He also did so many things that a lot of other owners were afraid to do. Hired Tom Flores, right? We were breaking barriers way before a lot of other teams were ever comfortable doing it. And Al Davis is such an unbelievable human being, did a lot for the NFL, did a lot for the Raiders, has done a lot for me, my family, and probably has done a lot for y'all. So all I ask is this. Show some love to the GOAT. Would have been 95 years old on July 4th. Al, the entire Davis family, you will always be missed, my man. All right, so let's get into this show here. According to Vic Tafur, it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders added a running back. So in an article released by Tafur in The Athletic a little bit earlier this week, he kind of hints at the idea of that he's okay with the idea. And again, it wouldn't shock him if the Raiders decided to add a little bit more depth to that running back unit. So rookies report to training camp July 21st, and the veterans report July 23rd. And with $34.1 million in cap space, 5th most in the NFL, if the Raiders wanted to do this, they absolutely positively could do it. So the fact that Tafur believes that the Raiders could add a running back, and again, he's a beat reporter, he's at the Raiders training facility. I don't know if he's the type of reporter that just, says things because it's what he believes, or is he saying that because it's what he's heard? And you can look at it two totally different ways. But what I do know is this. The Raiders running back depth chart is, I think some Raider fans, they might be confident in it, but I think if you were to ask all 32 NFL GMs who has the worst running back room in the NFL, the Raiders are probably in that bottom 5 just because there is a lot of unknowns. You got Zamir White, who's never really had the opportunity, 3rd year in the NFL. Alexander Mattison's been an RB2, RB3 for most of his career, at least at this point. Ameer Abdullah, not that great of a back, and we're very high on Dylan Laube, but there's still a lot of question marks, which is more than okay to say. My question to all of you, though, is do the Raiders need to add another running back? Give me a yes or no. When this video went out, when you see the report of Vic Tafur saying that they could add another running back, what's your initial thought? Is it, yes, thank the Lord, we need to add another running back? Type yes. Or are you saying, no, it doesn't make any sense for the Raiders to get another one? Give me a yes, give me a no. That's what the Raiders Report here is all about. For me personally, I don't think that the Raiders do need to add another running back. And it's not with me saying that I'm very confident in their running back depth, because I do think it's weak. I'm going to be real. But I'll also say that there's not many good options. And I'm going to be breaking down the top 5 running backs that the Raiders could sign if they wanted to do it, because it's very easy for Tafur to say they could potentially add a running back before training camp starts. That's easy to say. But, what you should do is do your homework, actually look at the running backs and ask yourself, does signing any of these backs make our football team better? Because I know Telesco says that he's going to go RBBC, and that they're going to have a running back by committee. But to me, I know that we have plenty of money at $34.1 million. I would just rather the Raiders use that salary cap space to extend guys like a Malcolm Kuntz, Trevon Merrick, Nate Hobbs, Robert Spillane, go out and sign an Emmanuel Ogbah, Stephon Gilmore. We can allocate that money in a lot better ways than signing a running back, a position that, quite frankly, Telesco, the Raiders, I don't even think really value all that much. So coming up here, I got the top 5 free agent running backs that the Raiders could sign. I don't want the Raiders to sign another running back. I do think that this is our weakest overall unit on offense and on defense, but with how skill position our players are as wide receiver, tight end, and how I just think that the running back by committee can work when you look at all of our backs. Even though I'm saying that I don't really want us to sign a back, I still wanted to be able to at least tell the nation of, here are the top 5 backs that I think the Raiders could potentially sign. Before I get into those, though, I do want to give a shout-out to a bunch of our new subs here, man. Israel, Brian, Gabriel, Christopher. It's a hell of a last name. Are you related to Mr. Minshew himself? Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a new subscriber. We get new subs every single day, and I want to just show love to all of our new subs because if it's not for you, this family can't keep growing. If you want to see your name on a future show, don't be afraid. Hit that subscribe button. Let's get wild like Noah Santana. So here we go. I got them ranked from 5 all the way down to 1 of who are the running backs that are out there that we could potentially sign? I got Cam Akers coming in here at number 5 because it's a notable name. And when healthy, Akers is at least a halfway decent running back. The problem is he just hasn't been healthy. Played in only 23 games the past 3 seasons, and he ruptured his Achilles back on November 5th. So, I'm not even 100% sure if he's going to be ready for the regular season. If the Raiders got some word that they're going to be okay, that he's going to be okay, you could potentially bring him in on a cheap type of deal. But, the last time we saw a good Cam Akers was 2022. And when I say good, he was okay, right? 188 carries, 786 yards, 7 touchdowns. And the offensive schemes that Sean McVay, Shanahan, Mike McDaniel all run, I do think is similar to the style of offense that Luke Getsy, this wide zone, is going to try to duplicate with Luke Getsy. But Akers simply isn't healthy. Let's go to number 4 here. It's Eno Benjamin. And I'm not saying that Benjamin is better than Cam Akers. I'm just simply putting Eno on this list because if I were to actually say which position or which running back group, could I make the most sense around, I would almost say, you're looking for an Ameer Abdullah replacement. So you're looking for an extra special teams guy with these new kick return rules. You're looking for a running back that maybe might not even play back, but you just use on special teams. And Eno Benjamin's a name because he's got that experience with Marvin Lewis, with Antonio Pierce, played at Arizona State from 2017 to 2019. And this team wants special teams backs. It's also going to cost you the least amount of money humanly possible to bring him in because last season, 2 years ago, actually, 2022, 77 carries, 313 yards, and been more of just a scat back. Didn't really even get any opportunities. I believe he was with the Saints last season. So for a guy like Eno, who the only reason why he's on this list is because of that connection with Antonio Pierce. But again, do I really think that Eno Benjamin is going to help this team win football games? No. Let's allocate that money to people that are going to help us win some football games. Now, I got these top 3 names coming up here in just a second, and I do know this. The number 1 name on this list is going to be a very notable name that a lot of people that are watching the show are going to be like, yeah, that's actually a guy that I think that we could add. I'll break it all down for you here in just a second. I also going to talk about 2 other running backs that, one, never going to happen. Another back that's not a free agent to at least keep an eye out for. But you know what? I got to show love to Panda Sups. And this has probably been one of the longest sponsors I've had here on the show. Diehard Raider fan, owns Panda. And if you want to go support your own, go to chatsports.com/mystack because I'm only really going to talk about the summer stack for a few more times on the show. So if you've been sitting there, I know I've talked about it before. This might be one of your final opportunities to take advantage of it, where you can get the protein, the burn. I mean, everything that's pictured up on screen, you get for, it's around $103. Again, it usually costs about $200. But you guys watch the show. I do a lot of crazy stuff. Chugs and I do food challenges. I'm a foodie myself. I'm not afraid to have a drink or two, right? But I also want to get slimmed up, right? It's the summertime. I want to be in good shape for my wedding next year. I want to be in good shape. I got a bachelor party coming up here in 3 weeks, and I got to try to stay a little bit slim, and these are some of the things that I do on a daily basis that help me just, keep it together a little bit. So if you're like, Mitch, you look halfway decent, or if you're like, you really outkicked your coverage, go to chatsports.com/mystack. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. Let's go to number 3 here, and it's a familiar name, Latavius Murray. And Murray's been one of these dudes that I've talked about so much since I've started doing this show of like, could we potentially bring in another running back? And I think a lot of people love LT here, or LM, because he's played with Oakland and he was on the team back in, 2014, 2015, 2016. And that 2016 season, he had 12 rushing touchdowns and very, very physical running back. The other thing about this is he's been durable. Like, if you're going to bring in Latavius Murray, I think this would be more of like, you're not really confident in Zamir White. You're not really confident in Alexander Mattison. But, like, if I'm the Raiders, I kind of just want to add another, like, Ameer Abdullah type of back. And if you wanted to bring in Murray, you're not going to have to pay him all that much. He does have 59 career touchdowns. But, like, the reason why he's on this list is because of the fit. He is almost 34 years old. If you want another veteran, I'm trying to create ideas here of why you would bring in Murray. He's still like a reliable running back. When you look at the past 4 seasons, like he still put up some solid numbers. He's not what he once was, but just, 2022, 4.4 yards per carry. Last season, only 3.8, but like still can be a reliable running back. It's just, does Latavius Murray really make that much of a difference compared to the guys that we already have? So if the Raiders do decide to actually sign a running back, if you need to go look at the free agency list, you can Google it right now. Not going to be offended. If the Raiders do sign a running back, who should it be? Because you're going to have to find an upgrade. And if I'm the Raiders here, I at least want to find a back that I do consider a little bit of an upgrade over certain players that we have. Now, the next 2 names coming up here, I do think could be an upgrade in certain situations on our roster. Let's go to this name here. It's Jerick McKinnon. And if you were to ask me, Mitch, is Jerick McKinnon, Ameer Abdullah a better running back? I'm going to go with Jerick McKinnon. And just because of the special teams value, but also his ability to catch the football. And if I'm the Raiders, I'm trying to get every competitive advantage I possibly can against the Kansas City Chiefs. Is McKinnon going to help me? Maybe. But I know this. If he's with Kansas City, he's had some really good work over there. The fact that he's had 13 receiving touchdowns the past 2 seasons combined, that speaks volumes. We know Telesco values AFC West experience. And when you look at just the last 4 years, he was really, really good in the playoffs in 2022. Definitely took a little bit more of a backseat to Isaiah Pacheco last season. But, is Jerick McKinnon an upgrade over Ameer Abdullah? To me, I say yes. And because of that, I say that if the Raiders aren't confident in Ameer, then you go out, you add Jerick McKinnon, you cut Ameer Abdullah, and now your new running back room looks like Zamir White, Alexander Mattison, Dylan Laube, and Jerick McKinnon. The final name that I'm going to throw up here is Dalvin Cook. And we've made a lot of jokes about Dalvin Cook on this stream because, we have a Vikings channel, and I got to give credit to Seeps. Back in 2022, he was like, Dalvin Cook's just like one of the most inefficient runners I've ever seen. Was calling him Dalvin Cook for a while. And you kind of saw that he was kind of cooked last season with the New York Jets. However, he's number 1 because of the wide zone scheme. The Raiders went out and they signed Alexander Mattison because the Minnesota Vikings, throughout their career that Mattison has had, also was the backup to Dalvin Cook. They went with a wide zone. And if there's one thing that Dalvin can do well, maybe still not even close to what he could do, but it's like that wide zone run, jump cut outside, get north and south, and then he's going. I will admit the reason why I'm a little bit hesitant on this is because he did have a bad year last season, averaged only 3.2 yards per carry. I mean, the New York Jets literally did not play him. Breece Hall was definitely the better running back, but they gave him $8 million, and he only saw 67 carries. He's definitely getting up there in age, but do I think that he could be just as good as Alexander Mattison? Probably, right? Cook's not the pass blocker that Mattison is, but if you are not confident in Zamir White, if you're not confident in Alexander Mattison, and to me, that's the only reason why you would go out and even consider signing a running back is you are not confident in the guys that you already have. Dalvin to me is probably the best running back out there in the free agent market, but here's the thing. That's not really saying a lot. The other option, and this to me would be the top option for the Raiders, where I'm not signing a free agent running back. Quite frankly, I already said it when I started the show. I'm not signing Dalvin Cook. I'm not really signing Jerick McKinnon. These guys I'm not signing. I want to allocate my money elsewhere. The only way that I might be hesitant to change my opinion is if Khalil Herbert gets cut by the Chicago Bears, which we've talked to our Bears guy, Harrison Graham, who said, it's at least a possibility because of some of the additions that they've made. DeAndre Swift, you have Roschon Johnson. But Herbert has played the past 2 seasons in Luke Getsy's offense. Can I get a running back that's just a little bit more familiar, who's been halfway decent, 132 carries, 611 yards last season with Chicago with a horrific offensive line? If Herbert's cut, I do think that he could make our Raiders running back room a little bit better. The one name that's just not going to happen, y'all, right? The amount of times that I'll get asked, could the Raiders sign Kareem Hunt? It's not going to happen, okay? If you don't know the Fred Bilenikoff story, Fred Bilenikoff's daughter's story, take time out of your day to Google it, and then also look up just, some of Kareem Hunt's past. Kareem Hunt is a good running back between the tackles, can catch the football, and he's had some good success even in the AFC. But I just don't think that Antonio Pierce, this football team, is going to bring in somebody like Kareem Hunt who has that pass baggage. Because, again, the only way you're going to bring in a player with that much pass baggage is if they're really, really going to be able to help your team. But you know what? The Raiders have never done it. And because of that, I don't think it's going to happen. So here again are the top free agent running back targets for the Las Vegas Raiders. If the report by Vic Tafur is true, that where he says that he could see the Raiders potentially adding a running back before training camp starts. For me personally, I'm hoping that the Raiders say no. They keep their current running back group. God bless you, Chugs. And I'm just hoping that we figure out a way to just use that $34.1 million in a little bit better of an area all around.